Hello and welcome to Dreams of Wings, and welcome here to RAF Lossiemouth on the northeast coast of Scotland off the Moray Firth. It's a beautiful location. I was very lucky to live here back in the 80s. These days it's home to 4 Typhoon squadrons and 3 Poseidon MRA-1 squadrons. There's a QRA here. We also have the RAF Regiment, Royal Auxiliary Air Force Regiment as well, and also the Mountain Rescue Team. And back when I was here, it was Buccaneers, Jaguars, the good old Shackleton, and 202 Squadron Sea King search and rescue helicopters. And this particular repaint for the high performance group H145 is of a Sea King that used to operate from Lossiemouth. It's now flying with historic helicopters. They are keeping her alive, and well worth visiting their website. And it's fantastic to be able to fly this Demo Designs livery actually in the simulator. And it's what I'm going to be using this year for my HEMS stuff up in this area. Stuff being a very technical word, of course. It's very lucky with the weather today. It's not too bad at all, actually. This is live weather. There's not much in the way of wind at the moment. We've got good visibility. We're going to be doing some work in the area, just giving it a shake out in Microsoft 2024, just giving another test for my purposes, and just seeing what fun we can have. It's highly addictive. This helicopter and the High Performance Group Action Pack actually started my addiction to flying helicopters in the simulator. It's a wonderful helicopter to fly. The action pack gives you the reason to fly, and the mod that we're going to be using from Aerosoft, which is HEMS Random and Anywhere, gives you that unexpected edge and more. We'll see. Let's get going. Right, here we go in the rather splendid cockpit of the H145. I do love the helionic system. Strangely, I cannot stand glass cockpit in fixed wing, but for some reason in this helicopter with the kind of missions that we're running, it works really well. Add-ons, we are using the high performance group. I will from henceforth call it HPG. H145 base pack. We're using the HPG action pack, which is what gives us the ability to run missions, and we're using the absolutely excellent Aerosoft HEMS Random and Anywhere mod from flightsim.to, isn't it? Yes, it is, boy. And we're using that to add the extra layers of realism, all sorts of things, but mainly, I guess, or more importantly, the random and anywhere element of the mission generation, so we can truly fly HEMS stuff and not know what's coming our way. HEMS stuff, using that technical term there again. I hope it doesn't confuse anyone. Right, let's get the old flappy panel open. So we're going to go to maps and missions. We're not going to start the aircraft battery up yet or anything like that. We are going to jump to mission library, and we're going to select random and anywhere and check the version. That's the latest version. Incidentally, have a look at their Discord. I'll put a link down below. It's the HEMS Random and Anywhere Discord, which is a fantastic little community for this wonderful mod. And also, while we're at it, we have a Dreams of Wings Discord. I'll put a link to that down below as well, so hop along and say hello. Right, we're going to select single player. Actually, I'm just going to wind that back a little bit. Let's have single player. There's Frank, the ground crew. There we go. So it's telling us it's not connected. To connect it, we do need to start some things up now. So we'll have battery on. We'll have some lower the collective. That's what that beep was, because my physical collective was raised. That's all good. And now we can switch the radio on. No idea why I said it like that. Just move that there. Quick look down here. Power test okay. Acknowledge. Let's have the numbers on. Check our battery. That's all good. So we have got plenty of power in there. I see the lads aren't turning up yet. There we go. Just wait for that to change. And we can now connect. There's the crew coming out. Brave lads coming out from the crew room. They put their tea down, ready to come and save lives. So we're waiting for our first mission now. The Randoms Anywhere mod will simulate the time it takes.
Good morning, all.
For missions to come through. Excuse me, I'm talking. We'll simulate the time it takes for missions to come through, and also
good morning, Frank.
What happens on the ground as well, as you'll see. So we're just waiting for that first mission to come in. You can see.
Frank. Good morning.
That is grey at the moment, so we'll wait for that. Just move off there. Quick look. What's the QNH? 997.
Hi, Captain. Helicopter is ready to fly. Logbook filled and signed. If you need refueling, please ask.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank. I'll check.
Let's try to get... There's our
Ready to
mission.
supply external power at your request.
I must remember, note to self, I need to get a head tracking freeze button set up on my new controllers. Right, so that's QNH set. There we go. Accept dispatch a patient in a nursing home.
Cabin preparation. Please wait.
What was that? Patient in a nursing home requires medical assistance. Okay, waiting info, presence of... So as and when vehicles, as and when ambulances and that sort of thing comes through, we'll find out about it. But at the moment, we are just cracking into it, and we may well be the first there. So let's have prime pumps on.
Starting sequence 1,
Those
2.
lights are still on. He's now going to jump out and assist with the engine start. Just checking my collective is down, checking stick, checking pedals, that's all good.
Area clear. Ready to start engine 1.
Okay, let's go engine 1. Looking here, N1 is rising. Oil pressure's rising. Gives you that nice warm fuzzy feeling.
GPU disconnected.
So it looks
Ready
like
to go.
we're going to Forest.
Good day.
Thank you, Frank. He's connected the GPU now that everything's winding up. He always has to get in shot. Actually, he was just collecting the fire extinguisher. Good professional.
Engine started
lad.
successfully.
So,
moving to other engine.
good start on engine 1, and engine sequence start is governed by how you flick the prime switches.
Engine clear.
So we do like to try and cycle those, so next time we'll start engine 2. Anyway, engine 2 is now starting, N1 is rising, and oil pressure's good. Happy with that. Co-pilot keeping an eye on things for us.
All engines started successfully.
Shooper duper. Right, he's done that. Now we can start to get some more things going. So we'll have prime pumps off.
Hold on.
Transfer
Performing
pumps
leak
on.
checks.
He's doing his leak checks. Don't worry, mate. We're not going to go without you. DC reset on for the guys in the back so they can plug in their bits and pieces. LAVCS, which is anti-vibration system, we'll have that on as well. And what else? We've got the Peter Heat on. Put the strobe on now. Let's have some ventilation and some heat because it's a little bit nippy, and just in case it suddenly goes dark, put a bit of light on. Actually, do you know what? It's not going to do that today. I do that out of habit because quite often,
all good.
if there's a lot of cloud around, it goes dark. But it's not too bad at all today. Actually, we're very lucky with this live weather. Right, you're sorted. You're done. He's in. Lads are in the back. We're all good to go.
Preparation complete.
TOS system test OK.
We've got the briefcases of plenty. Let's get rid of that. Select us back here. Right. Quickly, let's get back here. We're going to turn the TARS off on the TDS GTN XIs because I pressed the wrong one. Let's get him going,
TOS. System test OK.
because that is enough to drive you bonkers. It once they start warning about obstacles and things like that when you're in a helicopter doing HEMS work, it's just the nature of the beast. Right, quick look around. Boom, boom, boom. That's all the autopilot systems on. Startup test OK is good. Happy with that. We will acknowledge that. Engines to flight. Checking this. Let's put VMS over there. Let's put that there. Something I'm going to do, that line is white and we've got zeros in the FMS there. Sometimes, I don't know if it's just with the TDS or if it's with all third-party GTNs, but sometimes if you just cycle everything pressing the home key on there, then it restarts. You can see we've now got a distance and we've now got a blue line there, so we know that everything's connected. Cabin ready for takeoff, so that's all good. The lads in the back have done their bit. We are ready to go to save lives. Right, so we're going to hover taxi over to the helipad and then we'll take off. So I need to concentrate on flying a bit, and I couldn't check over there. That's all good. Right. Cheers, Frank. I do need to tweak my settings with 2024. I tend to find, especially on airports, I'm getting a lot of kind of FPS drop, and I don't think I've changed settings, but sometimes it seems to be related to third-party airports as well, so maybe there's more to it. Let's face it, there's quite a few things going on with 2024 at the moment. Trying to use it. I'm still using 2020 for Warbirds, but okay, let's focus. A bit of stuttering there, which doesn't help. Let's turn to wind. And let's depart. So I'm holding in the cyclic trim release, which enables me to do this kind of control of the aircraft without having the autopilot fight me.
VTOS. V1.
So that's good. Speed. Now we can turn on course. There we go. Helicopters is all about very smooth movement. What I am trying to do. Just watching those two red pippers over on the left there, just to make sure that we don't overdo the collective. Going to engage the autopilot. Actually, let's couple that first. There we go. That's it. And we're all good. So, helicopter now has control. I'm just checking everything to make sure that it's looking good. So it's got control of our altitude, our nav, and our indicated airspeed. Everything is tickety-boo, so we just ever so gently how easy it is
Watch
to do
out.
that.
Reduce collective now. Watch out. Reduce collective now.
There we go. You have to be very careful not to overdo it with the doing an altitude change, because it's got collective. It's got everything set up to travel at the speed that we've got set, and if you do any big altitude increase changes, then you can overdo the collective, so just having to be a little bit careful with that. Another way of doing it, of course, is to climb on the vertical speed, so you can have a bit more control over that. So, how are we looking? Interestingly, the autopilot does not seem to be following the route. And I know why. I know why. I'd like to say I've done this deliberately, but I haven't. Because it's one of those things, those little checks you should do at the beginning, and I always forget. We need to select TDS GTNXI, this area here, we need to select that to MSFS. Because even though we're not using the TDS GTNXI, for the autopilot in the system to follow the correct
Ambulance with
nav,
no paramedic. Fire engine. Confirmed on scene.
we have to make sure we've got MSFS set as the nav source. That's why we were wandering off there. So that's a little thing that stupidly I quite often forget, and God knows why, because you'd think by now I'd remember it. It's one of those things it should really do is in the initial checks, but I tend to find out when the aircraft isn't quite flying on course. So let's have a quick look and see how our patient is doing. So 15 years female, unconscious, a patient in nursing home, requires medical assistance. Ambulance Bravo 32 has reached the scene. Crew requires further assistance. Fire engine crew arrived at location. Symptoms, resuscitation from paramedic. So the paramedic on the ground has done some work already. I suspect from here we'll probably go to Raigmore Hospital at Inverness, which is all good. Just using the hat
Set a
switch.
possible hospital destination for our patient. Info available on tablet. We can confirm or change later.
Just giving us a bit more speed. Trying to get there as fast as we can. We are 2.6 nautical miles away. So at this stage, let's go back to the map. Let's get rid of that. Go for that. And I'm just resetting my view.
2 nautical miles from accident area.
And I'm now going to take autopilot off. I'm now flying, and then I can get a nice approach. So wind coming from our left. So I'm going to just slightly drift to the right. Let's see what we're being presented
500.
with in the way of a landing ground. Now, smoke isn't quite displaying correctly at the moment, but I can see like a weird graphical effect going on up ahead. It kind of just draws the lines, so you might be able to see that, but that would be a smoke flare.
Rear crew, we are
That
approaching the
looks
landing
like it's
site.
the middle of trees, so actually let's do a bit more of a recce. See what we've got. You can turn that off, by the way, the lines. But when it's sorted, it will look more like a smoke flare, as I say. So, right in the middle of the trees, we can see the ambulance. Yeah, so I think it's going to have to be that field. There's a field there which is quite tight. Not feeling particularly confident about trying to put it down there just yet. It's been a week or so before I've flown it. So let's come back over here. And I'm going to remove the flappy tablet. Over a bit.
Wow, nice touch, Captain.
There we go, that'll do us. You can see we're on a slight incline then. Right, engines. Let's do that. Let's focus on what needs doing. Let's open the flappy panel. Doctor on the scene. It seems there is one injured and an ambulance with no critical care paramedic. We will check and stabilise him. If his conditions allow, we will transport by ambulance. Okay, so we'll just keep an eye on that. Crew get out now and do their thing. Bon voyage, mon ami. Oh, oh, he's brave. Oh no! Thought we were going to have decapitated crew members then. Okay, so while we're doing that, let's now close everything down. So we can have transfer pumps off, have all the lights off, pitot heat off, we'll have avionics off, and that off as well. And then before I turn the battery off, and this is just a little cheat that we've got because we want to maintain radio contact as we would do in the real world, and the way of doing that in the sim is to just flick the ground power button, and then when I turn off the battery, everything will stay connected because our radio here is still, and that's the critical piece. That's what's connecting us to our base. If we lose that, then the mission will crash. So that's why we do that. Right, let's see what's going on. So here's the emergency crews that we talked about. We've got the fire engine, we've got an ambulance, and we have our firefighters there just in case, ready to go in. We've got a bit of a traffic jam building. There's the chaps going through the purple heather. Sorry, awful accent. Now, of course, one of the things with Flight Sim is, of course, we're using autogen. So they're walking into the autogen to go get the patient. And if you can suspend belief for one moment, we go in and we have our patient there. So we've got the paramedic who was on the scene. Paramedic, of course, has come by ambulance. Our lads are now going to work on the patient and do their thing. And as I said before, this all happens in real time. So there is a bit of a delay. And while we're doing that, me and co-pilot matey boy here, we just sit and wait. And that's really what they're doing in the real world. I've said it before, I have huge respect for the crews that do this sort of thing in real life. I cannot imagine the pressure on the pilot, having to concentrate on flying and do all that kind of good stuff and what goes with it, but also knowing that he's got a life in his hands, and he's got crew in the back who are helping keep the patient alive and working on the patient. But ultimately, he's the one who's going to get them where they need to go, and that's a huge amount of pressure. So huge respect for those guys. And doing this kind of flying in the sim is very addictive. This is the frustrating thing with Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. This default scenery is just amazing. Right, Regmore Hospital, great. That's in Inverness. That's what we want. So we will accept that destination. So that's that all set up. So the hospital have now been alerted that we're on the way. Sometimes you never know what you're going to get in this, hence the name Random and Anywhere. It could be, for example, that the doctor that we have on board who's in there now working with the patient might elect to travel with the patient in the ambulance to the hospital. So our role then is just to fly to the hospital to pick up the doctor.
Patient life signs are fading.
It may be that we, we pick up the patient and transport the patient to an ambulance, and the ambulance takes the patient to the hospital. Or it could be, in this case, that which is what it looks like, that we're actually going to be taking the patient ourselves. So let's go back to there and see what we've got. If we go to the medical diagnostic page, it gives us more information. So patient assigned emergency code 1. Code 1 means immediate risk of death. That ain't good. So that's something we've got to bear in mind. Code 2, immediate risk of serious injury. Code 3, no risk to life. And then we've got patient conditions, which is a score, a life score of 0 to 100. 0 means they don't need us anymore, and 100 means why are you wasting my time calling out my expensive helicopter? So our patient here is 33, which isn't good, and with the assigned emergency code of 1, we know that things are definitely not tickety-boo. We've got a heart rate there, 91 beats per minute, and we've got the oxygen rate as well. So plenty of information if you are medically inclined. I'm just the thick pilot, so I'm going to try not to worry about that too much and let the experts deal with it, and we'll do the flying stuff. So here we go. We have our crewman coming back now, and interestingly, okay, right. I thought he was going to come back and get the stretcher from the helicopter, but what you can just see coming from the trees over there is that they've got the ambulance crew to bring the patient over on one of their stretchers. So that's kind of cool, and that's one of the things about this. It does different things, hence the name. You never know quite what it's going to do. So we'll just watch here. He's going to bring the patient over. One of the things about the animations and that kind of thing, obviously, is that it's following the mesh in a slightly different way, as you could see there. But that's cool. Oh, that's good. Is he going to? I thought for a moment then yes, he is. So we have a transfer over onto our stretcher into the back of the helicopter. The medic will go away. We, at this point, will jump back in, because we need to get flying. Okay, so while they're doing that, let's have power on again.
Cabin secured. Ready to fly.
Let's have some lights on. And prime pump, we're going to go 2-1
Preparing
this
for
time.
engine, starting sequence 2-1.
He's going to jump out. Quick look over here.
Area clear.
Yeah.
Ready to start engine 2.
That's all good. Just checking the battery. Start engine 1. Keep an eye on those instruments. And at the same time, let's turn that off. Now, your job, dear view, this time is to shout out to me, put it onto MSFS as the nav source when we get to that point, if you'd be so kind. All good? All pressure good?
Engine started successfully. Moving to other engine.
Excellent, old boy. Keep it up. Before you know it, it'll be tea and medals all round.
Engine clear.
Okay, engine 1. engine 1 rising. Oil pressure rising over here. That's all good.
All engines started successfully.
Excellent. Just waiting for that to turn to idle. There it is. And now we can,
Hold on.
before we do that,
Performing leak checks.
so we'll have prime pump off, transfer pump on, boom, 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 whoosh, back again, get the fixed spot, boom. That's all done. Lights are good. Happy with that. That's where we still want it to be. Pop down here, have a look down here. Any issues there? No. So let's acknowledge that. Let's do that. Wait for it to finish its
TOS.
test.
System test OK.
That's done.
Okay, all good.
Thank you, my friend. Do that. That's all good. Quick look out. What was I saying? Yes, let's cycle the Garmin. There we go. We've got our destination distance there now is good. That line has now turned blue. Let's quickly jump into here. MSFS, thank you for shouting. So that's all good to go. And back to here. Back to there. Everything is good there. Engines to flight. Quick check over here. Engine 1 is spooled up nicely. Engine 2 is there now. Okay, quick look around. Nothing on the annunciator panel. Everything is connected down there, and we are good to go. Good to go? Yes! Onwards and upwards, old boy. Oh, you can just see down there, you see the ambulance moving off. That ambulance is actually moving off. That's not just a graphic on the display. The model ambulance is driving away now. That's how cool this is. Loads of little nice little details. By the way, let me fly. Hang on. Let's get above the trees. Head into wind. Not that there's much wind today, really. Keeping an eye on everything.
VTOS. VY.
And head towards the hospital. These new versions of Microsoft Flight Simulator are absolutely excellent for flying helicopters, just because of how good the ground scenery is. Really is quite exceptional. Okay, so that's all good. I'm releasing the trim release button there. Now we can put her onto autopilot and coupled to the nav. That's all good. Keeping an eye on the instruments. Just blipping the speed a little bit. And that's good. Okay, let's check on the patient. There we go. Patient conditions 34. I think it was 33 before, so that's quite good. That means that the lads doing their job, working on the patient in the back, and patient is improving ever so slightly. It can obviously go the other way, and sometimes you have to take emergency action in the air. For example, it might suddenly or the crew in the back might suddenly say that you've got to land so that they can perform CPR. So there are all sorts of things that can happen, and that's what makes it really interesting. It's one of the reasons I love about it. You literally never know what you're going to get. If you want to run it as random, you never know what you're going to get. But if you want to be a bit more specific, you can do. For example, I think on the last live stream that you'll see recorded on the channel here, I wanted to go into the mountains, so I select mountains as a destination. You click on it on the map, and it gave me a really nice search and rescue mission where you had to find the lost hiker. And it's all highly immersive stuff. Really is wonderful. So what do we got? 18.2 nautical miles to the destination, to Raigmore. Let's have a quick look over here. I'm going to keep the medical diagnostics page open, if I can just get the click spot, just so we can keep an eye on that. It's fascinating. I find doing this, I get far more enjoyment out of doing this than I used to out of combat sims. I don't know why. I haven't thought about it. Heart rate just went red. There's certainly an amount of tension because you are carrying a realistic depiction of a patient who can deteriorate, so it's not just flying A to B. There's something going on. I mean, in a way, this is almost like a simulator within a simulator, which is very cool. It's a shame you can't see this, but I've got a little nav map open, and it's showing the ambulance driving along the A96. Somewhere over there, the ambulance is driving along the A96. Can't see it. Probably because actually thinking about it, he's way back there. Thankfully the helicopter is faster, otherwise you might as well put him on the ambulance. Anyway, how are you? I hope you're doing well. What are you flying at the moment? What are you flying in? Are you completely in 2024 now, or like me, are you using 2024 for a little bit? Like at the moment, to be honest, I'm just really using it for helicopters, and using 2024 warbirds, because a lot of the warbirds, the good warbirds, aren't actually really well, the Spitfire isn't 100% in 2024 yet. I've heard that the Hellcat is working quite well, but I'm waiting for the Spit to get the 2024 update before I move that one over. But I love 2024. I love the extra detail in the scenery. I really like the lighting, but it just has a few funny things going on, and the performance sometimes for me, sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's not. I'm using DLSS. I must admit I am using quality, and I get varying results. It seems to depend on cloud. Maybe it's lighting. I know the other day I was making a video for the new Burning Blue design release up at Fishburn, and I switched to a night shot to record the night lighting, and the FPS just dropped through the floor. So I don't know if that was a combination of the ground lighting and the cloud and all that sort of thing, but it does some funny things. But I'm hoping that once I get my new 5000 series card, that might improve a little bit. And also, of course, Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 will get tweaked. I think we can all remember 2020 when it first came out. I hated it. I really did not like it. And I was flying in P3D for a long time, until 2020 started improving and it was tweaked and more of the third-party stuff came over, and then that was it. I couldn't go back to P3D after that. This world is just so immersive. And I always find it funny when P3D people criticise MSFS and say, oh, I'm not about the eye candy, I'm about realism, and then they post loads of screenshots of P3D. but they obviously appreciate the eye candy to a certain extent. Otherwise, they wouldn't be posting lots of screenshots. But I think, you know, with the third-party add-ons, you can get a really good experience in Microsoft Flight Simulator now. And the RAF Battle of Britain Memorial Flight are using MSFS 2020 at the moment, and the Flying Iron Spit in their Spitfire Mark 9 simulator that they use to practice procedures, and also obviously to let the public have a taste of what it might be like to fly a Spit. But at the moment, performance isn't too bad. It definitely seems to be around certain third-party airports where it goes a bit funny. But I mean, look at the detail in that field down there, my lord. And if we landed on it, you'd see the texture, the 3D texture as well, I'm sure. So, Raigmore, what's that, 9.5 miles away. Heart rate is dropping. Patient condition is still at 34. I'm just going to, a little bit worried about that heart rate. Just tweaking the speed a little bit. Just using gentle taps on the hat switch. Keeping an eye on the limitation indicators on the left, those red things. The red upper one is the one that we really need to worry about. Thing that looks like a stealth fighter. Looks like a stealth fighter. Doesn't look anything like a stealth fighter. What am I talking about? Like an arrowhead. There you go. Like an old flint arrowhead. Blimey. Too much detail. Patient conditions is now 35. So that's a bit better. .7 nautical miles to Raigmore. Let's have a look outside. That is a lovely repaint, isn't it? Really nice. Really nice. I did enjoy flying the 84 Squadron, but it's nice to be in a 202 Squadron. Brings back some memories, and nice in a small way to honour the chaps that did this for real. If you go on to YouTube, there is a somewhere there's actually a documentary. I want to say it's called RAF Rescue. But it's a documentary that was filmed in the later 80s or the early 90s. I think it's the late 80s, about the work of 202 Squadron from Lossiemouth, and it's really interesting. It gives you an idea of what it was like, the conditions that they were having to deal with in technology that's nothing like as comfy cozy as this H145 with all its lovely displays and automated systems and all that kind of stuff. Those guys really were doing it old school way. So coming up on Raigmore now, let's have a look. So the wind is behind us, so we'll have to bear that in mind when we're coming in for our landing. Quick check on the patient. Patient condition is 36. So a little bit better. It's nice when you get this close to the hospital, you start to feel a little bit more confident about the fact that your patient is going to be in good hands. We're not going to have any nasty things happen in the flight, and all I need to start worrying about now is making sure that we do a nice landing. Right, coming in 2 miles, I'm going to disconnect. Oh, let's just quickly, that's handy. That did that automatically, that's nice. Right, let's disconnect the autopilot. Checking on the wind again. Just going to come round to the left slightly. I remember at Raigmore there's a couple of masts we need to be wary of, and there's also some tall buildings. Normally we come in from this angle or just from over that angle. So this is an unusual approach angle for me. But you can just see the helipad there, and you can see the tall buildings. So I'm going to, right, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in from that side.
Destination in sight. Medical crew is ready on
I'm just going to
landing
come
spot.
round, and you can see the mast over there. That, I believe, is the police headquarters where that mast is. So let's get rid of Flappy Tablet and concentrate on flying. Keeping on the wind. So there's our mast over there, and our mast where the police station is. Again, trying to do smooth movements and as little input as possible to try and keep it smooth. Checking the wind again. There's our tall buildings. There's our hospital crew on the ground. Now the wind has just flipped round. Can you see that? The wind has just flipped round, so there must be a wind layer there. So I'm just going to come over here, not so low that it's going to bother people on the ground. That's happened to me before in this sim. All of a sudden it either updates the wind or a wind layer changes, and you suddenly find the wind is in the opposite direction. Okay, so this is the usual kind of angle that I'm used to, coming in over the car park.
Rear crew, prepare for ground operation.
And we're down. There we go. Right, lads. So as before, crew just waiting for the engines to wind down, and then things will start to happen. The hospital crew making their way forward. Our doctor going over, having a chat with them, telling them what's happened. Probably just talking football scores, maybe. Our crew member gets our stretcher out, wheels it round. Then we'll do a transfer here. Patient is now in the hands of the hospital. Our guy takes the stretcher back to the aircraft, because stretchers ain't cheap. And they actually dock you biscuit funds. If you lose a stretcher, no chocolate hobnobs for you that month. Now, the lads from the hospital are going to take the patient off, and then our lads are going to go in with them. And the reason they're doing that is because obviously you would have to do an amount of paperwork. They've got to do a handover with the medical crew at the hospital. They've obviously got to explain what work we've done, what the issues were with the patient, and go through that. You can skip that. You can see just over there we've got this blue button that says skip paperwork. If you don't want to sit and wait, then you can do that. But it's actually, if you, like me, are very addicted to this kind of stuff, this is a very good opportunity to wind the engines down, which is what we're going to do. Set the avionics off, and we'll have that off, and we'll have that off, and we'll have that off. Turn the strobe off for the time being. Let's have a quick look down here. That's all good. Happy with that. I will remember we've got our ground power switch on down here, which is our sort of ground cheat for when we are running the HEMS mission. And then we can turn off the lights. And we will now turn off the battery. And we still have a radio connected. That's on. And we still have a mission. So, yeah. This is what we'd be doing, and we'd be running off now, making a cup of tea and getting ready for the next mission. Apologising to your family that you're spending hours hidden in a room pretending to be a HEMS pilot, that kind of stuff. Sometimes you have to do a bit of negotiation, but that's what it's all about. Anyway, I'm going to end it here. On the live streams that I do, quite often we'll go off and do another mission or select a location and see what mission it chucks with us this way. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, do subscribe, and then when I do the live streaming where we go into this in a bit more depth, you'll be able to get the notifications and everything. And also sometimes I do it on a live server, so if you want to fly along, you won't be able to see the assets, but at least you can just have it's almost like a random group flight, because no one knows where the hell it's going to end up. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on board. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope you found it entertaining and useful. And I look forward to seeing you on the channel again very soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.